Hey,
Mike Burke.
Harry Robin.
Where are you, man?
What's up, bro?
What are you doing down here?
Seagulls, man. I'm out here with the Seagulls, flock of Seagulls. We're starting a new band out here in Sydney, Australia. You're going to be interviewing for the lead singer job. Flock of Seagulls.
I've always been told I had a pretty face, but now it's the first time somebody said I have a pretty voice too.
Where are we, bro?
I have no idea, man.
What's that building you got?
I feel like you just transported us, like you just. We just appeared here.
We're in Sydney, Australia.
The land down under.
And I'm with Harry Ramen.
Listen, Raman. You should see the names I get called.
So when you eat the noodles, what's that called?
That's ramen. That's a family. That's our family business, guys. That's a joke. Wouldn't be sitting here with Mike Burke. I love the guy, but
Harry Ramen. So where are you from originally?
Pakistan.
What?
Yeah, I'm a
Paki.
Indian. Same thing, man.
You're brown.
Yeah, listen, same thing. Paki Indian. It's it's right next door.
How did you get so cool?
How did I? It's the first time
Did you watch
somebody said
TV
that.
when you were a kid?
So I grew up in Africa.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I went to the American school in Zambia. So all the textbooks and everything were from the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
That's it, man.
That's crazy. Did you watch MTV when you were a kid?
Not as much, man. I'm old.
How old are
you? 50.
I got you by 2.
Come on, man.
I'm
I've
52.
I've got kids your age.
I'm 52.
Serious?
Yeah, I'm 52.
You're a good 52.
Hey, you got good people around you, work out, eat right, and have the right mental health. You don't age.
Yeah.
You don't age. But man, we're here in Sydney, Australia for Expel, and we're here for their conference. Like, we're really here for an Expel dealer conference in Sydney, Australia. And I think they had a typo when they invited me. I had to check my email 3 times and go, they want me? Like, why would anybody want me from America to come here? And you, like, really, what are you bringing to the table?
Look, I'm still trying to figure that out. My wife asked me the same question at home, but look, I think we bring different perspectives, and most people don't realize that when Expel asks you to come here, it's not because you're a good guy, and you are. Don't get me wrong. You bring a perspective of you're not an employee of ours, right? You are an independent business person. You've got your own life,
right?
So they're looking for your perspective. They're looking for our dealers in Australia to get, to hear from you what you're doing to succeed, and basically learn from them.
You've been all over the world. You just came back from Taiwan, and you have a press release there. And I want to dive in a little bit about your backstory. So, what got you into films?
In the year 2000, I was graduating, and I had a couple of different options. I had one option was, it was kind of cool, Mike. There was a company I did my last class, which was my strategy class, and I did a little internship and a paper on a company called Bridgeway Software. And it was kind of cool because, and this kind of leads into this industry, it was kind of cool because Bridgeway Software in the year 2000 and 2001 had a software that could track employees and how much time they spend on each website. Now I want you to think about how long ago that was. So I had a good opportunity to, once I did the paper there, I met the CEO and other people and had an opportunity there, but then found an opportunity in the film business. And for a new technology, you guys hear of the word ceramic. So there was a company coming out with ceramics, and I remember, Mike, I think my initial pay at Bridgeway was close to like $38,000, and over here my base pay, and since it was a startup, all you were getting was the base pay, was about $26,000 or something, 24 or 26, and I decided to take this because I thought I could go further.
Well, window films. Actually got into window films from another company.
Yeah.
Then you started your own company.
Yes.
And then you got bought by Expel. And most people, when they sell their company, they're out on a cruise ship and they're smooth sailing. Not you. You got bought out by Expel. The company name was Veloce.
Yeah. So the name Veloce, I love cars. Hopefully I'll be able to afford them someday. But Lamborghini has a version of their car called the SV. The Super Veloce.
Super.
Super, and veloce means fast, so super fast, right? So my company name was Veloce Innovation, which means fast innovation. And the reason I chose that name was that I worked for a company. It was a good company, uh, but in 18 years, when I left, I was there for 18 years, which is quite a long time, right? And when I left, we were still selling the black and white television. In other words, at the time that the ceramic films came out, they were great. They were top notch. And then 18 years later, we hadn't really invented. So my goal was to start a company and bring in technologies and bring the innovation side. We're in a great industry, but sometimes a little slow to invent.
So let me ask you a question. You want to manufacture and invent a new product. Like, you have an idea. All right, I want this particular VLT. I want this absorption. I need to perform like this. You go to a team of engineers and yourself, and you produce samples, and then you have to get it produced with the quality assurance checks. Have you ever invested into a run of material and go, oh shit, it's not what I want?
Look, about 277,000 reasons why I can't forget that. So 277,000. My wife reminds me about this. I was, there was a technology that was coming out or becoming more popular, not coming out. It's been around for a while, called transitional films. These are films that change light transmission.
Yes.
So obviously really excited about a new company and innovation and all these things. I went and got some lab testing on some transitional films, and I was really excited. And by the way, the name, Mike, I'm trying to think of what the name was. It had something to do with the retina, because you know how the retina right, is in terms of light. And I think it was retina transitional films or something like that. So I was so close. I had a ton of inventory, 270 grand worth of inventory. And then I realized, I did some field testing, and I realized, can I say this?
Yeah.
It's a piece of shit.
So you made a mistake, and what I'm getting at is anyone who takes a leap of faith and goes out and does something on their own has to bankroll this. You didn't have a ton of investors.
No, I didn't have any investors.
You went out on your own, took a leap of faith, learned the business, and started a company, Veloce. And when you started it, you said that you were cash flow positive, about $300K, and then you doubled that within 3 years.
Within a year and a half. In the second year, I would have doubled that.
What do you think was the key reason for that success? Did you start marketing different? Did you have a different product? Was it just that you got into a field of space that people were not concentrating on? You said, you know what, I found this little niche, and other people are not focusing on it. Let me master it, and let people come to me for that product.
Mike, in our industry, more than others, because it's a smaller industry, people believe in people, right? Just the same way that you have. How many locations do you have?
Well, I own 13 corporate stores, but I use the brand Sunstoppers to help other smaller.
How many are there?
There's 70.
Okay, so Mike, those people don't believe in just Sunstoppers. They believe in Mike. If tomorrow that was being run by Simon, you wouldn't have the same. They believe in you, right? So in our industry, I think what happens is that you give people attention and you help them, they will never forget you. They'll never forget you. One of my customers has been a customer of mine for 24 years. In 2001, I met this guy at SEMA.
Yeah.
He's Keith Kishi in Hawaii, and he told me, he said, Harry, when you left, I realized I never did business with the brand. I did business with you.
Right. I have people at Expo from day one that are my core family, and I would have a very difficult time if they left I would still be with them, but then all of the new people that I've been introduced to and new relationships with the company. But like the core foundation 7, 8 years ago, it's you're the relationships that you build, right? And my relationship with you. Like we've traveled, we just were in Amsterdam.
Right.
And now we're here in Sydney. And I said, man, I gotta bring my podcast equipment. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I want the world, like the US, to see that we're traveling to other countries and making a difference in the window film space. That's my passion. I love Sunstoppers. I love Expo. I love window tinting. I like paint protection film, but at my core value system, I am in love with the process of window tint. And we're doing a lot more buildings, we're doing roller shades, and what I really love, Expo has given you the power now with a bigger checkbook to innovate new products and new things. And what's coming, I'm telling you, what is coming down the pipeline for the Visions line is absolutely incredible. I have secrets that I've signed that I cannot speak about, but I'm telling you, what's coming is amazing. If you're tinting windows out there and you're watching this, and you're only doing cars, you're absolutely missing out on the future. The future of window films is tinting these buildings, tinting commercial spaces, and the amount of revenue that you can generate is insane. I want to dive into one thing that I know about. Tell me about the cruise ships story. I got to hear this cruise ship story because people out here in the audience don't realize how much money you generated by tinting.
Mike, that was that helped put back in the days us on the map, because what happened was the cruise ship industry, when fuel prices skyrocketed, what most people don't realize that in a building, your highest cost may be your HVAC, your heating and cooling, but in a cruise ship, it's propulsion, it's moving the ship. The second highest cost is cooling or heating.
Cooling a cruise ship is actually a lot of cost.
Yes, a ton of cost, and you're using fuel. So what happens is, and you have to also remember that with the doors continuing to open, with the number of people in and out, it's a non-stop. So
tell me about that story. How did you get it? How did you approach it? And how much money did you generate?
Yeah, so that was a big deal. I think it was. So they started off with 6 manufacturers, 6 suppliers, right? And then they narrowed it down to 3M and us.
Right.
And at the time, obviously 3M had come out with a new product called Prestige, which was a good product, and it still is a good product. But like anything else, it has, its vulnerabilities, right? I mean, there's no perfect film. I mean, Expel has great films, and there's no perfect film out there. So I made sure that, I knew everything about it. I knew more about it, Mike, than 99% of their employees.
But your contact, like who did you contact to get that job?
So we actually had, they had a quite unique situation. They had 6 different departments that were looking at this decision from 6 different perspectives. Like, when you go to a building, like, we look at these buildings here, and you've got engineering looking at it, and then you've got an ROI that somebody in finance may look at it. In the cruise ship industry, it's very different. They look at it from a maintenance perspective.
Okay.
They look at it from obviously the cleaning / maintenance. They're looking at it from a fuel perspective. They're looking at it from a comfort perspective. They're looking at it from many different perspectives. Obviously, the other thing is that these products have to make sure that in saltwater environments that they survive, right? I mean, it is. So, launch system, I think that project was, I think that today, even till today, it was probably, unless I'm not aware of it, the largest project of one of its kind. Dollar-wise, I'm not able to say.
Range, give me a range.
Let's put it this way. It was upwards of, in square footage, it was upwards of 2 to 3 million square feet.
Okay, if anybody did not hear that correctly, we're talking 2 to 3 million square feet of glass.
Wait, hold on a second. For us Australians down here, that's 200 to 300,000 square meters.
Square meters. It's small. It's like, so anyway, that's a lot of golden film, right? And it was a big project. It was amazing for what you can do with the right relationships and building something like that. You have your crew. How long did it take to install it?
So that was a very unique project. That was unique because we didn't install the project. So that number that I'm telling you,
Is what it sold.
So
You sold the material to the end user, and then they found labor.
No. So what happened was I had a really good friend of mine who I worked with as well. His name is Gary Clark, and Gary, just a great guy. He's good friends with Tommy Silva, and I know you were in Hawaii as well. So Gary's in San Francisco.
Right.
So Gary's son, Steve, was also just a good, solid guy.
Right.
I could see all the things he was doing. So we got Steve and a couple of other people, and we went and actually trained their employees on how to do it. And I'll tell you what Steve said to me. Steve said, Harry, these guys get paid about $5 an hour because they don't even have to meet minimum wage because these are independent entities that sit in international waters, right?
Oh,
Each ship kind of has its own domain and it has its own flag or so forth, right? So anyway, so we trained them and they installed it, and not only did they install it, they did such a good job. But Mike, there are some, as exciting as that project was, there are some, not with the project itself, but there are some wounds that came through that whole process, because it made me realize that, you can have agreements, and you can have commission structures, but the minute something happens, they can change. So I won't go into detail. I want to keep this positive.
The whole thing I wanted to emphasize is the auto has got the biggest notoriety.
Yes.
We do, right? The space is mainly auto. What hesitations are shops seeing to get into this space of Expo, home and office marketing? Like, what are the obstacles that shops are facing?
A couple of the top ones are they get comfortable, right? They don't want to leave the shop, okay? And that's the one. And we've got many different trainings at Expel on how to work that into your business model. And my philosophy on this is, like, if you're doing $500,000 or $1 million in auto, think about the opportunity that flat glass brings to you. You don't have to get another space, another bay. You don't have to pay more rent.
Exactly.
I mean, the overhead, right?
More audio, baby. Honey, it's gone.
It turned off. Keep going.
Huh?
Keep going. Keep talking.
It won't talk. There's no.
It's using this microphone, so keep talking.
Okay, so can we talk? We can't talk into this or no?
You can. You can pretend.
All right. Can you
Just
still
can't
hear
hear
us?
I can't hear him at all.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as we can hear each other, if she can hear us, that's all
Did
that
the batteries
matters.
die?
The battery's died in this.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah,
All right.
I can hear you.
You can.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So as far as that, if you're trying to get into this space,
Yeah.
I have been helping and coaching shops. If they're heavy on detailing, heavy on ceramic coating, heavy on paint protection, they're not heavy on films. And what I mean by heavy is the name of their business. There's 3 rules of marketing that I preach: who you are, what you do, and how to get a hold of you. Right? And if your name says I do detailing, or if your name says I do paint protection, you don't classify yourself as a window film installation company. You're not going to be SEO. You're not going to be a
I
search.
mean, that's even a secondary thing. Like, think about it. If your name says landscaping,
Right.
and you're trying to sell me window film, I'm not buying that from you,
Correct.
right? So if your name says it's Mike's Detailing Shop, and you're coming to sell me film for my house,
Not going to happen.
I mean, I'm just going to look at you very differently,
You're not
because I'm like, yeah,
You're just not qualified.
your detailing company, your credibility is at
Right.
stake. So that,
Right.
so even before that is that, hey guys, you have to look at your business And we've had some, Mike, you've done a great job of integrating, because at one point you weren't as big on flat glass as you've become.
Oh, it's our new focus.
Yeah, so
we're doing express window tint for shops, and it's fast and efficient tinting. And we're doing vans, and we're selling now franchises, which are vans that we set up independently in cities. And I'm partnering with a lot of auto shops now because they are heavily on PPF, heavily on detailing, and they're not focused on tint, but they want to get into the space, so they piggyback off of a model that I've already worked on 30 years. And we can hit the ground running. We have architects that can bid the work as far as the specs. What they need to understand is that there's a whole world in commercial space. There's a whole world in the home space. And they're a little bit uniquely different. You can put an ad in a magazine, get a call, come take a couple of measurements, tint a window, a sliding glass door, a couple of arched windows, and you can tint some nice homes, some really nice homes. Projects can be anywhere from $500 to $5,000. But if you want to get into the jobs that are $5,000 to $100,000, you're going to need someone that can go in and read some blueprints, work with the builders, work with the glass companies, go take people to lunch, take them to play golf, and really get some foundation of trust, but you've got to finance the job.
But I would suggest that, look, that's a phase 2 process.
Phase 2.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So first, you got to have, maybe, you asked me what was one of the things that holds people, holds people back, is that, their installers are not ready to leave the shop. They don't want to go sell projects. They don't want to go.
Now.
All right.
We got the charger back on there.
Okay.
Sorry guys, a little issue with
The
headphones, the batteries died. Now we can put it back on.
I think the issue is Mike and I talk so much that we kind of wore out the battery. Yeah, we ran out the battery, guys.
Anyway, we're good. So I don't want auto shops to be scared to get into doing flat glass. It's a when I hear shops go, I want a bigger shop. I want more overhead. I want more employees. The bigger the shop, to me, it's just a lot more what I call difficult obstacles. They want to be the sexy guy. They want the bigger space. I would rather you have a smaller space and get into the flat glass, and then maybe open a second location down the road that is smaller and more efficient. These big shops, unless you're doing a ton of dealership, a ton of volume, and you need the space, and you're going to really spend the time doing detailing, spend the time doing coding, spend the time doing PPF, spend the time doing tint. It's very difficult to have a lot of rent. We were just talking about a shop that you're friends with that has a rent of $15,000 a month. And when I see people paying $15,000 a month for a building, that's stressed. That brings on anxiety.
No doubt. Look, no doubt. I would say that there are dealers that deserve and that have earned and have the business. Have you been to Ray Van Dexter's?
I love him. It's amazing.
Ray is such a down-to-earth guy, but he's gotten to that point today.
Okay. But I've known Ray for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I knew Ray when he had one store. He calls me up 5-6 years ago. He goes, hey man, I want to go to my second location. How do I do it? He already put me in touch with him. And I did some just regular coaching, not really coaching, but just advice.
Sure.
And I said, find one of your best installers that's been with you a long time. Invest in him, get a small little store, and put him on his own and give him a percentage or ownership, either way, and go start that route first. He told me, I think a year ago, that's his most profitable store. Because it's small, it's simple, it's not a lot of overhead. It's not the gross sale. If you do $1 million in sales and spend $990,000, you made $1. But if you go out and do $500,000 in sales and you spend $200, you made $300. So it just comes down to basic math. And he has the most sexiest shop. He has a badass shop. I love him. His ambition is killer. He's doing the boat stuff.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I love him and Josh Popnick. They're the two guys that I just absolutely admire. These guys aren't 52.
No.
I'm old. I'm broken. So I have to keep my investment capital into smaller, little efficient, like little SEAL teams, I call them.
And I think it's a different phase as well, right? I mean,
It
they
is.
have paid their dues.
They have.
They paid their dues when their shop wasn't as big and so forth. So, but I agree with you is that, look, when there's a lot more room. I spoke to a dealer, I went out, by the way, I met for the first time Boyd Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd met Miles, and Miles is a solid freaking guy, but man, Boyd spent the day with Boyd yesterday visiting customers here, and what a solid freaking guy. I mean,
he was texting me and telling me all kinds of things, and I love Sydney, Australia. Thank you, Boyd, for all the recommendations. I love it here, and I love going to other countries. When we were in Amsterdam, we were talking to dealers. It just opened the idea of scaling. A lot of guys get very comfortable, and they're not interested in scaling. But the opportunities to lose a really good employee is to not give that employee growth opportunity within your company.
Listen, Mike, I would have probably still left after 18 years, even if I had ownership, because times had changed. But when I'm a big believer in skin in the game, and I feel as entrepreneurs, you can't get greedy, right? I mean, if you feel that somebody has stood the test of time and has worked very hard, then give them a piece. Give them a piece, bring them closer, and not just a piece, let them earn it. I mean, we don't want to be doing this forever.
Right.
So let them grow into it.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Tommy did. I mean, he sold his company to his employees, and it was. It's awesome.
Visions Expo. What do you got on the horizon for films?
We've got some decorative films coming out. We've got surface protection products coming out for countertops. Now I know there a lot of people are using their current PPF for countertops, but there's some cool things that we're doing for that. And then we've got a few other films. And obviously you're aware of those, so I can't talk about those. Yeah. But we've got a few other products under thing. But, I want to talk about something, Mike, that I think is, it can sometimes be the elephant in the room.
Sure.
And that is, I hear a lot of people say, "Hey guys, grow your brand. Don't grow the brand of a brand."
Right.
And I agree with that to a certain extent.
Sure.
And I want to touch on this because I've seen some videos recently of, grow your brand. And I'm 100% believer that if you have Mike's Tin Shop and Harry's Tin Shop, you should be growing that brand. But at the same time, if you are partnered up with a brand that has intrinsic value, that spends tens of millions of dollars a year in advertising, then you should take advantage of it. If you are, and I always give props to companies like 3M that have done a great job of building their brand.
They make great band-aids.
Yes, and Scotch tape, right? Right, and I'll tell you, I give them a lot of credit for, even in this industry, for helping expand the market. We're competitors, but they helped all of us. I also am a big fan of. Wasn't a big fan of the Suntech products, but the Newmar, the CP Films products, the Vista products, they in the year, from the year 2000 to the year 2012 or something, I would guess, they really grew this industry. And we wouldn't be at Spell, wouldn't be as successful as it has, in my opinion, and vice versa. And we did that for the PPF industry. Expelled it. So I just want to leave this thought is that, guys, if you are a 3M dealer, now I understand that there are many small brands as well, and I get it. If you don't want to grow that brand and you want to grow yours, that's fine. That's up to you. But I would say to you that leveraging a brand, I don't know how many hits we get. I need to find out on our website. And with the Tesla program, we've grown the whole industry. So take advantage of these good brands that spend tens of millions of dollars.
The game changer, the absolute game changer. I own a Tesla.
I own a Tesla too.
And I go into the app and see Xpel. It didn't say buy paint protection or buy window film. It says buy Xpel. Now, guys, no one ever would have thought, including me, that Xpel would have their own name and products in the Tesla app when you're buying a car.
I would have
never thought that would happen, right? So I'm sitting here going, wow, if I am another film manufacturer, I'm going to say that is probably one of the biggest hits of like, oh shit, right?
A, oh shit, and B, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just like I say today, thank you to Eastman for all the efforts that they put in.
Sure.
Thank you to 3M for helping specify products because they've done a great job. right? What we have done in PPF, and especially with this Tesla program, and look, I'm on the architectural side, and Mike, I get paid by this company. I got paid, and I continue to get paid. And I'm in awe of what we have been able to do with this. It helps the entire world.
I'm in marketing. I market my brand, my company, marketing background. But I can tell you, the amount of work behind the scenes to do a deal like this, and what it's done. My inbox, I've got multiple stores that we do the XPEL dealer program for the Teslas every day. It's another. And it's doubled. I talked to Hardy, Chris Hardy, who's the director of sales, VP of sales, sorry. And he was giving me reports. Every month since this program hit has doubled. Okay? And I talked to Eric Cummings, who is one of the execs, and he told me a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, that the Visions line, well, they were expecting X, and they doubled, and they doubled, and they doubled. So if you're seeing a company that keeps doubling expectations every single time they set the bar and then they double it, that's a company that's winning.
You know, you asked me earlier, and I wish I knew the answer to this, but I don't. You said, Harry, you know, how you feel about the stock, right? You asked me earlier.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I no idea, but I can tell you that I'm a big believer in, you know, Ryan will tell you himself, if you know, you've interviewed him, he's done many interviews.
Yeah.
He said, you know, he was asked at a conference I was at recently, and he was asked, Ryan, did you expect to be here? And he said, no. He said, I just did the next best thing. So, you know, when you have leadership, and I've worked for other companies, guys. I've worked for other companies, but when you have people like Ryan Pate, who is probably one of the most humble people you will ever meet, you would never know what this guy is worth by sitting next to him. He's just an amazing human being. But more importantly than that, he's just, you know, he's very objective and he's very smart. So when you have leaders like that, what my answer to you was, Mike, I don't know, I have no idea, but I can tell you this. The model that we have created, right? I'll give you a small example. Mike, the company that I was with in 2000, right? XPEL's not much older than, 97.
Right.
We are today over a $400 million. So if you look at the tale of two stories, right?
Yep.
You can see where one sits and you can see where the other one's at. And I mean, you know, it goes to leadership, number one, and it goes to values. I mean, I think, I'll share a story with you. When I came on board, I looked at Ryan and I said, Ryan, you know, I've had a lot of people trust me. I started a new brand and they trusted me. They came on board with the brand. And if we have any warranty claims, you know, what is XPEL's philosophy? And he said, Harry, we'll take care of it. You know, I mean, give me an idea. And I gave him an idea of how much I sold. He knew the numbers. And he said, Harry, we are big enough that when we will value your customers, the claims, the this, that. Luckily, we've not been able, you know, we've been able to use this. But that, the value, Mike, I've been on the other side.
Yeah.
When Ryan said that to me, there was a part of me that said, hey, thank you for the money that you paid me. But there was a part of me that said, I'm at the right place.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up with this. Hardy said the same thing to me. They were converted from Suntel to XPEL. I said, well, you've been a shit ton of Suntel for the last 15 years coming back. And he goes, submit them. I'll warn you. Put XPEL. I said, well. And I did for about the first year. Started to see, you know, there were some issues, and every film manufacturer's had different, you know, not say a bad run, but had some issues. And I started doing some warranty claims and some things. And I submitted it, no questions asked. They credited my account that second. It didn't even matter if I had the paperwork, it didn't matter if I had anything. It was credit, credit, credit. And that's an testament to XPEL and what they are doing.
I want to say one more thing. I set up a dealer about, this is not public information, so I won't mention the dealer's name. I set him up about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Called me last week and he said, man, Harry, when you moved to XPEL and when you started Veloce, I should have just jumped on board.
Right.
And I said, what happened? He said, well, you know, just not treated right, number one. Number two was, he said, I just did a front end PPF and I got a $250 credit for product and labor from the company he's with for $250. And he said, what does Expel pay? I said, I don't want you to hear it from me. I want you to call Expel and find out, right? So the other thing is that, I do want to say that one of the things that we do, and I think there are other good companies. I think Lumar is another good one. And there are others, guys. I keep mentioning, you hear me talk about Eastman and 3M because I have a lot of respect, and I have a lot of respect for other companies as well. But these two have really helped put this industry where it's at. So when you think about a warranty and you talk about lifetime warranties and transferable warranties and all that crap that people think, ask yourself, what exactly do I get compensated, number one, and then so forth as well. And these companies like Expel and 3M and Eastman have, they've stood the test of time.
Yeah, they have. They've stand behind their customers. Man, we're in Sydney, Australia. We're about to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Head up some seminars. You're heading up a seminar.
I got two different ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about marketing and scaling, and just leadership and culture and things like that within the business. I'm going to do a little seminar as well with Chris West. And we're going to have fun. We want to thank Expel. I want to thank the guys here in Australia for having us. It was a long flight over. I'm just now feeling my body again. And I think
Stop complaining, man. You came from freaking Hawaii. I don't even want to hear it.
Sorry.
I had a direct flight. So, yeah, I don't want to hear it, man.
I'm older, bro. I'm 2 years older. You'll get there.
That's nothing. Yeah.
No, anyway, thanks for tuning in. This is Mike Burke with Real Talk with Mike Burke. I got Harry Rahman, Expel, Visions Expert. Sold this company, Veloce, to Expel, and then stayed on to hire and build Expel's flat glass and residential commercial films. And if you're not doing home and office window tinting, you need to. And if you wanted to get into doing home and office, you have to have your sales rep add you on to actually buy the film. You can't just you have to add it on. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we have Mike. It depends on the type of area and so forth. But your sales rep can definitely make a big difference on what what then. And by the way, we now have architectural. In most companies, there are reps that cover both flat and auto. We actually now have architectural specific sales, territory managers that work on just architecture. They're not going to talk to you on automotive. So that was a big improvement, and thanks to Expel management for allowing us to provide that level of service.
And you've always been available to answer technical questions, glass breakage, low E glass, like all the different technical requirements that the film. It's not just putting on film on glass. You need to know what if it's 3 layers, is the lamination on the 3rd layer, is there a coating? There's all these different things that glass needs to be studied on, so you have to have a little bit of brain. But what is very nice is that you're always accessible to your dealers about answering questions. If you don't get right back, you are very good at texting, very good at emailing, and my staff at Sunstoppers wants to thank you for your accessibility, because your knowledge and expertise in this field is immense.
Mike, thank you. And let me tell you, one last thing on my side is that, guys, people may have a perception of Harry Rahman. I think experience it. People may have a perception of Mike Burke. Experience it. People may have a perception of Expel. And I'll tell you, when you talk to people on the inside, it's very different than people on the outside. Yeah.
Well,
back to you.
Hey, we love Expel. I love you. Thanks for coming.
You bet, man.
This was awesome.
Good times.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank
to
you.